First there was the Ram Mandir, and now Hindu groups are stepping up the pressure to lay claim to other religious sites where mosques currently stand. Today, a Varanasi court ordered that a pond inside the Gyanvapi Mosque in Varanasi should be sealed after Hindu petitioners claimed that a court-ordered survey had found that it contained a well with a shivling in it. The water body is otherwise used by Muslim worshippers for a purification ritual before their prayers. All eyes are now actually on what happens in the Supreme Court tomorrow, because the Supreme Court is hearing petitioners who are demanding a stay on this entire survey exercise of the Gyanvapi Mosque. Their key argument is that it violates the 1991 Places of Worship Act, which basically says that status quo has to be maintained at all religious places as they existed on the 15th of August 1947. So if on that day there was a mosque at a particular site, then that is to be considered a mosque today. If there was a temple on that day at that site, it should be considered a temple today. The only exception to this act was the Ram Janmabhoomi site. And in fact, in 2019, when the Ayodhya verdict was given by the Supreme Court, it was the Supreme Court itself which reiterated the importance of the Places of Worship Act and its importance. So all eyes really on what the Supreme Court will do. Joining us this evening is author and historian Rana Safwi. We have Amita Beg, who is a heritage management consultant, and Geeta Bhatt, a political analyst, commentator and supporter of the RSS and the BJP. Rana Safwi, to you first. Just from a historian's point of view, what was the Gyanvapi Mosque structure on 15th August 1947? Mosque or temple or what?
The Gyanvapi was obviously a mosque at that time, and the matter is before the court.
Right, but again, those who have gone to court in this case have argued that there is a dispute over this, that the structure was changed after 1947 and therefore the Places of Worship Act would not apply to it. Is there any truth to that?
I'm sorry, Nidhi, but I'm not very aware of the Gyanvapi Mosque, so I wouldn't like to comment on that.
Okay, Amita Beg, would you like to come in on that?
Thank you, Nidhi. I agree with Rana. I think because the matter is sub judice, it really isn't for us to comment on the Gyanvapi Mosque at the moment. I think it's sad that we don't respect the layers of history that are in the country, and let the court decree how we go forward with this.
So let's talk about the bigger issue here, because that is primarily what we are here to speak about. And Rana Safwi, the point is, when we start digging, where do we stop? We have a very layered, very rich history that goes back thousands of years. You're going to find something if you keep digging, aren't you?
So let's talk about the Taj Mahal itself, which has been in the news for many days. And today the ASI released photographs of the underground rooms which are being questioned. And from the writings of various people, including Amita Beg herself, it is very clear that those rooms were used by the emperor for resting. When he would come down the river route, he would rest over there. And that's all that there was to it. If we dig deep, all that we probably find is some more graves there. The actual grave perhaps of Mumtaz Mahal, as Professor Arnath talks about. But the foundation of the Taj Mahal went 17.5 meters. I don't think there's any chance that there would be anything left of the Haveli that has been talked about in the Farman by Shah Jahan to Raja Jai Singh.
Right. Geeta Bhatt, where do we stop? I mean, today it is a Gyanvapi Mosque. Tomorrow, I swear, people would start laughing when, the stories about questioning the Taj Mahal's antecedents would come forward. But are we living in those times where, tomorrow someone will say, let's have a survey of the Taj?
Well, in the case of Gyanvapi, it is very clear that there are certain, some women have gone to the court with the request that they want to do the Shringar Gauri Puja, because their temple has been there, it's a very ancient temple, and the court has basically asked to be very sure of what these women are claiming, whether it is right or wrong. A videography was ordered by the court. Now, the point is that we should understand that until 1992, this Shringar Gauri Puja was allowed to be done, and it was discontinued after the Babri structure came down. So before that, this was being carried. Now, secondly, time and again the Places of Worship Act is being quoted, and that under this, because of this, this issue cannot be raised, it cannot be questioned. But we also have to understand that there are exemptions which are given in this act, and which clearly say that if any shrine or monument which has got, archaeologically which can be proven to be very ancient, then it can be exempted from. Now the point here is not, you see, the point is that it is very well documented. I mean, there are historians over, present in this program, but it is well documented that Aurangzeb had destroyed the temple in Varanasi, and there is Fatwa-e Alamgiri, there is Masar-e Alamgiri. These are well documented. The fatwas which were written at the time of Aurangzeb, which talk about how he had ordered that the temples, the worship, places of worship, and the
Gita, but my point is different. My point is that in our history, there are structures. You can go back hundreds of years. There will be mosques on which temples have been built. There are temples on which, that have been built, mosques where temples used to exist. So how far do we keep going, digging into the past, where we might jeopardize our present and our future?
Yes, Nidhi, see, there are, when invaders used to come, that also is well documented, as you said, that they used to, destroy the shrines, and from the rubble they used to make their own structures. But the point is that there few of them, like the Gyanvapi and the Mathura temple, these are the places which have got, these are not just places of worship, but they have their own, there's a cultural significance and civilizational heritage which is attached to these places. And hence, there are people's sentiments which are attached to it. And by the way, I just want
to... But the law doesn't go by sentiment, because Amita Beg, the Supreme Court was clear. The Places of Worship Act is clear. It's not about sentiment. It is what structure stood at a particular place on the 15th of August 1947.
Yes. And I think one needs to respect that. I think one has to be very clear that there has to be a cutoff point in one's mind. Otherwise, you can keep peeling back history. I mean, what do you gain out of it? You're a country that's trying to develop. I have a profound respect for every person's faith in this country. But we must also respect the layers of history on which we have grown and developed. And that is part of what is our faith today, and our history and our knowledge that's also tightly interconnected. It is, in effect, what is our cultural heritage. And if we don't respect the law and the systems of governance that are in place, I think we have a very, very unfortunate time ahead of us, because for instance, in the case of the Taj Mahal, the ASI has filed an affidavit in the court 4 years ago. Somewhere we have to respect the systems of governance that exist in this country. There are laws, there are regulations. We all have our profound beliefs and faiths, but we are all part of a multicultural society. Let's respect that and understand that, you can't just wake up and say that, yeah, I used to worship here 2,000 years ago. Where do you worship today? What values do you bring to your faith today?
Absolutely.
All this is what I think is in India so incredibly important, is the values of our multicultural society, and the fact that we must respect and valorize that. Valorize it, because that is everything that we are. It is what we are as Indians today. Deeply faithful, profoundly respectful of our faith. I mean, let me be perfectly honest with you. One of the reasons we started our research so intensely in Agra, as you would see, Indians lined up for hours, 5 and 6 hours to get into the Taj. They were pilgrims from Mathura, they were pilgrims from Ajmer. It didn't matter who they were. That respect, they came to the Taj to pay to our forefathers. That is what we're about. It isn't about binaries.
Absolutely. But can I ask you, though, as someone who looks at these heritage structures and our history, what is the craziest theory that you've heard? Is it about the Taj Mahal, which you'd like to debunk today once and for all? What is it? I mean, what is it that there's so many conspiracy theories about our past?
Yeah, I think the one about the Taj Mahal has to be debunked, and because really it in many ways, like it or not, in so many ways, it is what India is about. It exemplifies excellence on every single facet, in the micro, in the macro, and, you know, of course it was built by Shah Jahan, who he was Badshah, he owned the river, he owned the land, he ruled India. But there is written records of the purchase of the land. It's from Raja Man Singh. 2 days ago in one of these social media things, Divya Kumari of Jaipur says they have the records of the land acquisition. And so much so that there is a record also that Shah Jahan gave Raja Jai Singh, Man Singh's grandson, a Haveli or two, I think, in Agra city. So this was virgin land. Why we know it was virgin, the mansion, of course, went. But the Taj is built in perfect cardinal alignment, north, south, east, west. And the north face of the Taj, which was actually for Shah Jahan, the entrance to the Taj, was adjusted to be in perfect cardinal alignment. It was adjusted to be in perfect east-west. So there was nothing that remained underneath. And the wells, the foundation wells, which are very intense at the waterfront side.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, when you hear some of these theories, you know, we used to laugh at them, as I said, but it's not funny anymore. Rana Safvi, just to give you the last word, what is the danger, you know, that we of sort of trying to peel away at this? You know, like I said right at the beginning, you will find something somewhere. And that's the way our history is, isn't it? How do we get out of this Mandir-Masjid Vortex that we seem to be caught in?
We have to consciously make an effort to get out of it, to worry about other things that are happening, things like economy, etc., and not just keep, you know, rattling day in and out about mandirs and masjids. Whatever it is, our faith is, as Amita very rightly said, it's deeply personal, and everybody is extremely, you know, like all of us are very deeply religious in our own lives. But that does not mean that we keep spilling it out all the time. And as far as, you know, like going on about it is concerned, the Taj is a UNESCO World Heritage Monument. Even a scratch to it is a blasphemy, I would say, because it's perfection. It's not about being a Muslim monument or a Hindu monument. It's an Indian monument. Yeah, it's very
belongs
much
to all of us.
Heritage of every Indian, and every Indian is so proud of the Taj Mahal, and you know it represents us abroad as a tourist icon. So it's a perfection, architectural perfection, which was only possible in India. It could not have been made anywhere else in the world, because only India had that kind of marble. It had those kind of the Islamic architecture available. It had the Indian artisans available. All those things were only possible for it to get together in India.
Well, it looks like we're in, you know, still ahead, despite, you know, what the courts may say and what the law may say. We're in for these very strange, politically polarized times where these debates will continue to make headlines continuously. Let's see what happens in the Supreme Court. And you know, it's not about just the Gyanvapi Mosque structure, about one structure. That represents a case which could open the doors or the floodgates to so many other structures being questioned as well, which is why we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court says on this. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.